happy to be joined by Rabbi Amichai Cohen of Live Kabbalah. He's a scholar and rabbi and resident here of Tzfat. Hello and welcome, and it's always so good to see you.
Good morning, Emily. How are you?
I'm doing well. So here we are in Tzfat in a very, very old building, which doesn't even kind of scratch the surface to how much history is in this actual location, going back even to, right after the Inquisition, the Golden Age of Spain. So explain a little bit, the story of Tzfat and why it has, so much power from a prophetic and a Kabbalistic standpoint, from the time of the people in Spain that got kicked out.
Well, there's something called the Golden Age of Tzfat, which was one of the most memorable times ever of Tzfat. It was when essentially we had some of the greatest, what we call all-stars in Judaism, the greatest scholars, the greatest poets and mystics that really converged on the city, and it happened shortly after the Inquisition. And the reason for that is manifold. For one reason is that they could not settle in Jerusalem for various reasons. But on a deeper level, there was an agenda that the great Kabbalists wanted to settle over here in Tzfat. And the reason for that is because Tzfat represents a very deep mystical notion in Judaism. And the idea behind that is that the north of the land of Israel and the north of the world represents the susceptible part of our self. And it's called a tzafon. Tzafon is the northern part of ourselves, which is that hidden part of ourselves that we don't often see. So just like we have that in our bodies and our own selves, we have that in the actual place and time in the world. And so the agenda of the great Kabbalists was to come to the north, to come to that susceptible part, and to essentially buffer up the zone and to really set forth some sort of a protective mechanism on some spiritual level that would resolve and would cause some mystical, what we call tikkun, fixing, that would bring the whole world to its ultimate rectification.
Right. And this spot particularly, being so high up, there's a lot representing. We see a lot of blue. It feels like we're on a Greek island, but there's even significance to that because it's like merging the upper gates and the lower gates kind of together in one place. Is that kind of the idea behind the location and the altitude as well? Right.
Well, actually, Tzfat is the tallest city in the entire land of Israel.
Wow.
And there's various reasons for the blue. One of the reasons which grandmothers used to say is that, we want the angels to feel at home. So therefore, we want to make them, exactly. So we thought Los Angeles it's actually Tzfat is where the angels reside. But on a deeper level, one of the great mystics, his name was Rabbi Avram Azulai, writes that Tzfat is underneath what we call the chariot of heaven, of the divine, which is spoken about in the book of Ezekiel. And we know that the chariot is blue. And so in order to immortalize that the color blue is the color of Tzfat. And that's one of the reasons. Another reason is that it actually wards off the negative eye, which is called Ayn Ra, and it's actually the color blue, which in Hebrew means lechalot, tchelet, which means lechalot, and to obliterate any side of
it's
negativity.
So interesting how Hebrew is just so connected to what the word means. Also, the word tzfat comes from a verb, right? We were practicing this in the car. Letzapot?
Yeah, so tzfat literally means litzpot, because it means to overlook, because of its high altitude, which on a very strategic level is where every conqueror that ever came to Tzfat or to the north of Israel, they had to conquer this mountain, which the top of the mountain was a Metzudah, citadel, which from there was a protective shield for the entire area. So on a very literal level, it means it's like a mitzpeh, an overlook, because you could see the entire beautiful panorama, which is found over here in the north. But on a deeper level, the word litzpot means to see, but when we say litzapot, to anticipate, we also see, but it's just a different type of seeing that we see with our mind's gaze what's going to happen in the future. So the word litzapot is to anticipate, and essentially it means to anticipate a greater future, something better for all of humanity, something better. So Tzfat was a very global, it played a very global role, not just for the residents of Tzfat that lived over here, But from this small city, the great mystics and the great sages and scholars that lived over here played the role of essentially bringing the entire world to anticipate a
time of
greater
Mashiach,
future,
right.
which is the time of Mashiach.
Which they even knew, because these Kabbalists and their ancestors, coming from Spain, they were really, talking about entering into this time at this time. So you think how much, getting into Isaac Luria, who was the great sage and, the great Kabbalist who died young, but, what is it practically that he did that kind of encapsulated Kabbalah to be digestible in the times that we're in now and these times that we've been talking about, these times of Mashiach, a new age, age of Aquarius, that we are going to see at the end of all this darkness, correct?
Well, it's actually interesting because Rabbi Isaac Luria, the Arizal, lived in Tzfat for roughly 2 years.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. And he died at the age of 38.
Wow.
And in that very short time, what he did is he codified 2,000 years at least of Kabbalistic works. And he put it in a very systematic way, and a student actually wrote it down called the Eitz Chaim, Rabbi Chaim Vital. And therefore, what he really did, and his great memory that he's forever known for, is putting forth the Kabbalistic tradition, which is very esoteric, very opaque, and very not understood. And he put it in a very systematic approach that all the great Kabbalists really followed suit, and all Kabbalists study from that system of the Ari.
Right. Amazing. Rabbi Amichai, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Live Kabbalah. Everyone go to check out Live Kabbalah. He has great courses, and he's a great historian and a great man. Thank you so much. I'm talking about you in the third person.
Thank you.